Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first episode in 2018 of the Lugs podcast. I am your host, AJ. With me, as always, my co-host, Ryan.
What's up, AJ? Happy 2018 start of that season.
Ryan, we're back. 2018 Extravaganza episode. Cars are back on track this week. It's racing season again, man.
I cannot wait. Speaking of which, I thought I was in a race myself. I got over the flu this past weekend. So if I do have the coughs, guys, I do apologize about that ahead of time. But about time. That time cannot get here to get these cars back on track this weekend at Daytona. I'm excited. I can't wait. I think we're going to have a nice 2018 season. The new Chevy looks fantastic. I can't wait to see it. I'm excited. Let's go. Let's roll.
Yeah, after a 2-hour technical difficulty delay, it seems, we finally got everything back up and running. As usual, we have some technical difficulties here on the Lugs podcast.
It's to be expected.
But we're working out the kinks. We're back, more structured this year, I think. More planned out. And we're ready to get into this, man. Getting off a Super Bowl Sunday week, and boy, I have the wrong kind of Super Bowl hangover.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with you. I thought New England was going to win, but I'm giving my hats off to Philly. Doug Peterson, hey, Nick Foles, go out there and do what you can do. And hey, Foles played good a couple of times. He played prior to being benched and getting traded all over the place. I think Philly is where his heart is.
Yeah, I think he remains a backup there next season.
I think so, too.
If Philly's smart, though, they trade him. They can get some good value out of him. Super Bowl MVP this year. And, man, you would think 505 yards passing and 33 points on the board would be enough to give you a Super Bowl win, but not this year.
And speaking of which, about the points that Philly scored, we just got your old defensive coordinator is my new head coach.
Yeah, congratulations to that. How about the news we got before we went on air? Like, literally, right before.
Yeah,
with Josh McDaniels
news.
Agreeing to a contract with the Colts, and now has changed his mind, told the Colts no. Robert Kraft has apparently sweetened this deal to McDaniels. And McDaniels is staying a offensive coordinator here, and I think is a shoe-in to replace Bill Belichick.
Oh, I guarantee he's going to replace Belichick. I think Belichick, like we said before coming on air, I think this might be Belichick's last year. Let, McDaniels take over next year and see what we got.
Yeah, I think I was reading that Belichick's contract is up after next season. Brady's got 2 more years left, so I think get 1, maybe 2 more shots at a championship and sail on off into the sunset. Leave it to Josh.
Might as well. I'm kind of excited to see what Patricia's going to bring to the Lions. So hopefully he brings that killer instinct mentality, which is something this team has been lacking for, since I can remember. Maybe Wayne Fontes had that killer instinct mentality. He was one of the best coaches I think the Lions have had since I've been on this earth.
Yeah, you guys have I don't normally like Patriots coordinators going to other teams to be head coaches because it just seems like in the past it hasn't worked.
No,
but
it hasn't.
Patricia's a smart dude.
Yeah, I hope he does good here. I'm as you can see, I'm growing the beard out too for Patricia too. So
yeah. So Ryan, we are back. Racing season is here. Enough with football. I actually have a little update, future announcement at the end of the show today regarding some football. But it's racing season now, man.
Yes, it is. So AJ, I got a question to ask you.
Yeah.
Where are you going to be at in a couple weeks there?
Man, we're leaving for Daytona next Sunday. Gonna head out of the house probably around 4 or 5 in the morning. Gets us to the track at around 8, and it's going to be an awesome day for the Daytona 500.
Oh, you guys don't have that far of a drive. It takes us about an hour to get out to MIS. We make a couple stops when we head out there. We do a tradition McDonald's stop, which is always fun. We always like to do. Last year, I told you I ran into some of the crew members of the Aspendental Danica team and talked to them guys for a minute. That was pretty cool. So, the 3-hour drive for you to Daytona? That ain't bad.
Yeah, it's a 3-hour drive plus traffic. You hit traffic around the Orlando area because they've been doing construction on there since the 70s.
It seems like it. Every time I go down to Florida to visit my grandma or any of my other relatives I got down there, there's always construction in Orlando.
Yeah, it's a pain. It's almost like when you're driving through Atlanta. It's like, is this construction ever going to end?
Oh, Atlanta's terrible. Atlanta, Chicago. Detroit's not too bad. Never been to New York City. I've heard horror stories on the traffic, so I don't know about going to New York City. So,
yeah, I've been to New York a couple times, and traffic is exactly what you think it is.
I mean,
it is brutal.
I wouldn't mind checking out MSG maybe for a Knicks game or even a Rangers hockey game. So,
Ryan, you ready to get down into business for the first time in 2018?
Let's do it.
Being that we haven't had a race in a while, there is no gas and go, but we do have tire rub. We got 2 episodes this week rolled into one because our last episode that we tried to record had technical difficulties at the end, missed the last half of the show. So it came to the point where we figured we would just do a 2-in-1 episode to start the season.
Yeah, there was something too that came up prior to that. There's a thing in Detroit called Autorama. And it's, I think if I remember correctly, I think I told you it's like March 2nd through the 4th. But the Saturday afternoon, Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be at this Autorama.
Is that confirmed?
That is confirmed. He is on the poster along with WWE superstar Roman Reigns that Saturday. And then the very next day, Dean Ambrose is out there.
I'd rather go on Dean's Day.
Was like a kid in the candy store when I found out that Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to be at Autorama. A chance to finally meet the guy. I might have to take that day off of work if I want to go down there and meet him. Because we are back on 51 hours at work now, so I'll be working Saturdays till noon, which gives me time to come home and get set for the Xfinity races, which is good. But I am considering, if I do go down there, to get down there about 6 o'clock, 2 hours before the doors open, have my ticket ready to be hopefully one of the first people in line to meet him. It's opportunities right there. Sarah and I are thinking about doing it. I think that'd be pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'm definitely jealous of that.
It'd be cool because I know I would like him. I asked Sarah, it's like, what should I have him sign? The Pure Michigan 400 flag or the car I got? And she's like, why not have him sign both? I'll bring the flag. He'll sign that for us, and then have him sign the car, the first one at MIS or the first one at Hendrick car I got when he won at MIS.
Yeah, I have that car too. I'd like to get that signed if I ever could, but good luck to you, man.
Yeah,
congratulations.
I'm like I said, what's up in the air if we're gonna go? We gotta see how much tickets are because you gotta pay a separate ticket price to get into Autorama. And I don't think there's anything to meet anybody, which is unlike Comic-Con when you pay the $30 to get in, then plus the $40 to meet a celebrity and all that. It was crazy at Comic-Con. So, but like I said, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you ready to get into some tire rub?
Yeah, let's do it. Left
side. Pull this lever fender out.
This tire rub is gonna consist of a majority of the off season. So we're going to start way back from what was supposed to be episode 14, which is now episode 14 that we're recording now, as I'm going back on my list to try to find it. We have Petty to RCR and Chevy, which is a big move on their part. I think that is huge confidence boost for RCR and Petty. Now that you have that, like, you can share data and all that, help each other out. It's going to be beneficial for both sides.
And that's what made the Furniture Row and Gibbs team so efficient. They shared that data just like that, and all 5 of them, actually all 6 of them cars last year were strong. Hopefully this does that with the Childress and Petty. I almost said Penske again.
Yeah, and coming in with these new Chevy body styles and stuff, I think that's an awesome move on both sides. I'm excited to see how that goes.
I think it's going to take a few races to get the kinks worked out. I'm sure they'll find it once they do, and they're going to fly.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome to see how it plays out this year. I think you'll see a couple Petty top 10s this year, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I got the hockey game on right now. 1-0 Wings, by the way.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, yeah, I know. Well, yeah, it was a smart move. I mean, obviously Childress has the, for Petty, everybody in the garage knows Richard Petty and what he did for the sport. Hey, their team was struggling, so help them out a bit, and this is what's going to happen with these two teams.
Yeah. Continuing on, we got Kurt Busch and Stewart Haas Racing agreeing to a 1-year deal. Not too surprised there.
Cole Custer's waiting in the wings.
I was going to say that situation only spells out to me that Cole Custer's going to be there next year.
Yep.
In that number 41 car.
Let him go after the championship in the Xfinity Series. Let him go out there and get it.
This is really his best year.
Oh, yeah.
Being that I don't see any junior motorsport guy
Sadler
being able to contend this year besides Sadler and Allgaier. I think Custer showing that dominance at Homestead last year pretty much gives them that confidence going into 2018 that they're ready to contend for a championship.
That they are.
We had 3 arrested in an attempted break-in at Richard Childress' home. When we recorded this last episode, we had a good 10 minutes of pure laughter when we were talking about this. Because out of any guy in that garage that you don't want to mess with, owner-wise, is Richard Childress.
Man, the only guy he's going to let into his house is Richard Petty. So, I mean, and hey, look, they did. They merged.
Yeah, see?
See? Look at that. Man, I can see going into maybe a Kyle Busch's house or somebody like that, but I don't recommend it. But out of all the people, Richard Childress.
Yeah, I don't recommend going into Childress' house at all.
No, I guess they didn't never seen the stories that him and Senior loved to hunt. Them and what was Neil Bonnet? They all 3 of them guys love to hunt. Why the hell would you do that?
Yeah, that was definitely one of the dumber moves I've seen.
Yeah, no kidding.
Battling that cough myself.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it's been going around, man. Anybody got the flu, man, get well soon, man. It's definitely a pain in the arse. I missed 4 or 5 days of work because of it. So today was my first day back at work.
Oh, really?
Yes, the Sarah and I both got it at the same time too.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, no kidding.
We got Peak sponsoring Daniel Suarez in 2018. They're moving their alliance from Stewart Haas Racing over to... Actually, I think they were sponsoring Paul Menard for a race or two, weren't they?
I thought they were doing something along those lines.
So they're moving their sponsorship over to Joe Gibbs Racing and Daniel Suarez this season.
I think they see the talent there. They see what Toyota's been doing. They've seen Toyota's getting in victory lane. They want their sponsor in victory lane. That's what it all comes down to. Sponsor money.
It's exactly what it boils down to. The last big thing remaining from that last episode issue was Miller Coors is no longer the official beer of NASCAR. So that means they're no longer the Pole Award. But they're keeping their remaining 11 races with Keselowski. As you know, seems like Discount Tire has taken over the majority of that sponsorship this year. That's kind of...
I didn't mind that car.
NASCAR.
Yeah, it does.
You're losing a big name title like that as one of your premier sponsors of the sport.
I mean, if Busch is still on Harvick's car, there's a lot of people at these races that drink Busch.
Yeah, and I don't know if they had named a new beer sponsor yet at all. I didn't see anything yet. I don't know
Hey,
if you did.
dilly.
Yeah, dilly dilly.
That's right.
Said that a lot this weekend.
I think we all did.
So continuing into more recent stuff, this is from the last couple weeks. The Drivers' Council is still looking at the choose rule, and I put on here that it needs to happen. Short tracks, I would love to see the choose rule put in effect. And for those that don't know what the choose rule is, it's basically your Saturday night short track restart way of doing things. What happens is, on the final pace lap, you decide if you want to start on the inside or the outside lane. So you could be, back in 10th, and you could be starting on row 1 if everyone chooses like the inside lane or the outside lane. So it adds so much to the to these races, drama-wise.
Yeah, because it seems like everybody lately, especially at the end of the last year, everybody wanted that outside, like on these mile and a halves. Get to that outside. If I'm in the lead, I want the outside. If you're a guy, like you said, maybe 10th, 11th, why not take the bottom? See what you got.
It makes more sense to me, and it's really the most interesting thing you can make happen on a restart. I remember when the rule was changed from double file to single file restarts, everybody complained that it needed to be double file. And great, that worked for the last couple of years. They've been doing it again. I mean, I think it's been 10 years now since they've kept doing it.
I was at the first race where they did that because they did it at MIS.
But now, you add so much more to those late race restarts now. Because you get to throw wild cards in there now.
Oh, yeah.
I just think it brings so much interest. And Denny Hamlin is one of the huge supporters of this. And he's actually, I think, a part of the Drivers' Council this year. So,
oh, really?
I like that. I like that they're backing it.
That is going to be a part of my rant about the drivers.
Yeah, about the council?
So, not really about the council itself, just the drivers as a whole. So, we'll dive into that in a little bit.
So, Kyle Larson, cars technically were back on track in 2018 a couple weeks ago with testing. But last week we had a Vegas test. And Kyle Larson was fastest in both test days at Las Vegas. And I tell you, that number 42 car this year needs to be on everybody's radar.
Oh, I think that, the 42, your main players from last year still, the 78, 18. I guess you can throw the 11 in there. Put the 9 up there. I think those are going to be your players this year. Throw the 2, maybe the 22.
9, but do you know who second fastest was? 24, William Byron.
24, William Byron.
I tell you, man, when you put it into a conversation of who gets their first win between Chase Elliott and William Byron, I think they both get their first win this year.
I do too. I think even Alex Bowman throws.
Bowman's like that wild card at Phoenix, like he was a couple years ago. It came down to the last lap, last restart with Kenseth, but
I think all three Penske guys are going to get wins this year.
Ryan Blaney being in that 12 car this year under some Penske horsepower, that's
going to be scary. I think all your main organizations are all going to get wins this year. I mean, Roush, like I said, they've run good at the restrictor plates. Can't count out Stenhouse at Talladega. He loves that track. Loves Daytona. We obviously seen it last year.
Brian, what did we have last year? 14 different winners?
Yeah, 14. I think you might see
if this year a full playoff field of 16 drivers get a win this year, leaving no room for a wild card.
I'd like that. That would be so good for the sport right there. The playoff. It's like, yeah, I don't care that these wild card guys get in there, but at least lead some laps, win some segments. That just grinds my gears.
Grind your gears. It was announced a few weeks ago that Circle Sport and Jeffrey Earnhardt parted ways, and it looked like Earnhardt wasn't going to race in the Daytona 500 for the first time in 40-something years. But last week it was announced that Jeffrey Earnhardt has signed with Starcom Racing, and he has a ride for the 500. And I love Jeffrey's response of it.
Are they in
have the
points
charter?
Too?
They have a charter.
Or does he have?
I believe I read they
have
the
the charter. All right, so he.
So
okay, good. Sarah likes Jeffrey, especially when
well,
he was
Jeffrey
in that
came out and said how much it meant to him to continue the Earnhardt legacy at Daytona, and it's definitely awesome to see an Earnhardt stay at Daytona.
That it is. I hope he runs good. I like I've said a couple episodes, prior. It's like I want to see what this kid can do. Put him in some decent equipment.
I agree
Let's
with you, Ryan.
do. Also, you mentioned that Jeffrey got a sponsor. Danica got a sponsor.
Yes, that's my next and my last one I have on here.
Yep. Go Daddy. What racing? Who's she driving for? I forgot.
She got a ride for Daytona. She's piloting the number 7 GoDaddy Premium Motorsports Chevrolet. I don't think she has a ride yet for the Indy 500, but I'm sure Penske, Ganassi, somebody will put her in there. Andretti,
Andretti. I think Andretti Autosport.
Yeah, I mean she already was there.
Might as well give it.
That's
to her
cool that she's running the double
race.
this year, even though it's not a full-time NASCAR driver pulling the double. It's still cool to see.
Yeah, exactly. And then there was another thing. I don't know if you saw the video of this about the Roval. They did some minor tweaks to it. I think it was Kurt Busch and Truex said that if they on the what they had for the original setup, like 20-some turns, their cars were going like 35 miles an hour, and both Kurt and Truex were like, fans don't want to see us go 35, so they took part of it out to add a little bit more speed to it. Excuse me. And when they did that, there's a little elevation change. They had it on NBC and NASCAR, and Jeff Burton took the drive around the track, and there was definitely some elevation changes. I still don't like the 2 chicanes on the backstretch.
Kind of gives it that Rolex at Daytona kind of feel to it.
Yeah, like the Rolex, the chicane at Daytona on the backstretch, that's big enough to do that. This one here at Charlotte, I don't think it is going to be big enough for it, and I think that's where you're going to see
So I've
most
been
of your
saying
problems.
this race is going to be a wreck fest. Now, my reasoning behind it is, you've only had a handful of guys test this. Now you keep reconfiguring it after people have already tested on it. Now, I don't know when the next test is for that and who's a part of it, but you're not going to have all 40 drivers.
I think from what I heard, if I might be mistaken, I think they said the first off weekend is when they're going to do another test there with more competitors with this
I don't think people are going to have enough on-track time to know how this Roval is going to affect the car, affect the handling, how you need to drive it, how close you can get to another car, in turns. I really think this race is going to be a wreck fest.
I honestly hope during practice time that they give them more practice time when it's that race weekend. Instead of happy hour, go an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. Add another practice session in there. Something along those lines. I mean, because they are putting a lot of money into this to make it. They're doing it for the fans because everybody's like, we're tired of mile and a halves in the playoffs, and this is what this is doing right here. It's worth a shot. See what happens with it. If it, like you said, AJ, if it is a wreck fest, it is a wreck fest. It's
the dangerous part of it all to me is it's in the chase. That to me is the danger.
Yeah,
of it.
Exactly. I think you could switch that. You could put that, even though they already got the schedule made out, everything like that. Is that put Watkins Glen?
It's like you have 2 Talladegas
playoff race. Put the Roval at where Watkins Glen normally is, that August weekend right there, and then Watkins Glen. It's still warm in New York in September. I'm sure people in upstate New York would like that, and people that go to Watkins Glen, our fellow Canadian listeners. Thank you.
Yeah, the Roval is going to be one of the things I'm most excited about this year, and also one of the things I'm dreading this year. And I don't know how long I can handle the word Roval for.
I can't stand that. Why don't they just call it the Charlotte Road Course? Whoever thought about that?
But I think that's it for news, Ryan. Do you have anything else here?
Yeah, I did. Was on Facebook there, and oh man, NASCAR Sirius XM. I can't think of the guy's name, but they were talking. No, it wasn't Post. It wasn't Post. They were talking to
Booty?
France about finalizing another contract. Yeah, it might have been Booty for Monster. So there's been talks about lengthening the contract. They like where they're at talking wise, so it looks like it might be into effect that Monster might be on board for a few more years than what originally was signed
big.
On the contract.
That's big because NASCAR needs that stability with a title sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't just have a title sponsor for 2 years and then they up and leave, because that doesn't help you get more sponsors in.
Exactly, and like I said, Monster, the 2 races I went to last year, they had a lot of fan activities around the speedway, which I love seeing that. I mean, that's a lot to do with the track presidents as well, but Monster had their nice little stand up there. They had a Monster Energy racing hats and shirts, and they were decently priced.
I think
too,
what Monster's brought to the sport has been excellent. You know, last year and going into this year, I'm excited. Too. Not excited for stage racing still, but...
And then, And then there is something, too. This was on Michigan International Speedway's website. It sounds like they're taking down part of the grandstand in Turn 1, I think, is what I read on Facebook. I don't know how much we're going to look into that until it happens. But that was another bit of news as well. And you obviously you see on TV the attendance is down in some of these tracks. Where some of the tracks the attendance is still what it was. Vegas is a good example. The 500 is a good example.
500 will always sell out.
Oh, of course it will. Hopefully I'll be down there next year. Exactly. Hey, tell you what, if you get lower level seats, Sarah will go to. She's not a heights person. And she saw where you sat last year. She's like, those are good seats.
I tell you, last year was the first year I've ever sat that high up at Daytona. And I just looked down. And I think I lost my
Holy cow, there's people down there.
Jeez, we are up here
in
the heavens.
Where we sat, when I went to Charlotte, where we sat for the 600, my dad's terrified of heights too. And we're up there so early before the race, and my dad's like, I don't know if I can do this for 600 miles. Race starts,
I will tell you, nothing will compare to the height I had when I went to see the Patriots play the Bucks this year. I mean, we're upper deck, and you look down, and you are, like, parallel with the football field.
That's not...
So,
that'd be fun.
Nothing will scare me more heights than that one. But that was fun. So that's it for Tire Rub for episode 1 of 2018.
1-1 hockey game, by the way. Give you a little update.
Let's get into some social media, Ryan.
Let's do it.
Alright, we have 276 downloads on Podbean and iTunes, 110 followers on Twitter, 58 likes on Facebook, 10 subscribers on YouTube. You can check us out on iTunes, Podbean, and now Stitcher with the Loose Lugs Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at Lugs Podcast. I am at Grey Goose F150, and Ryan, you are?
Rencola 88. I may switch it to 24 by
You
the way.
can like us on Facebook, the Loose Lugs Podcast, and you can subscribe to us on YouTube, the Loose Lugs Podcast. Make sure you check out our podcast family. Lap Traffic Podcast, PETM Podcast, the MOATF Podcast, the Bump and Run Podcast, the Final Lap Weekly, All Turns No Breaks, and we have a new one adding to the family this season, the Incredicast podcast. They do both a NASCAR one, and now they're doing a football one. Both are great. Check them out. And we have some new followers. Yes, we do.
Really?
Which we're getting more and more, which is awesome.
Speaking of which, AJ, a follower. As everybody out there knows, Sarah and I are looking to purchase our first house. So Sarah's been going on Facebook and she's been selling a few items. Well, one item in particular was a dresser that my mom got me for one of our old apartments, which I wasn't using because I got a nice dresser from my soon-to-be father-in-law. And so she put it on there. This lady responds, hey, me and my son will come over and get it, the address, everything like that. They ring the bell. Sarah buzzes them in. Door opens. This lady's got a Jeff Gordon shirt on. Her son walks in. He's got a Denny Hamlin shirt on. No, not perfect is right. But it was, hey, to each his own. To each his own, I guess. I mean, and like the door opened and I'm like, that's a Jeff Gordon shirt. And I'm like, come in here, check this out. Showed him the Stenhouse tires that we got signed by Roush and Stenhouse and all the Michigan flags. Showed them all my cars. They get the dresser loaded. We ended up talking to these people for a good, I'd say, hour and a half, almost 2 hours. He listens to the show, by the way. I couldn't remember his name, anything like that, but he does listen to the show. We'll give him a shout out if you're listening. Thanks again for the talking with the dresser, and sorry about the Denny Hamlin comment. But it's just a small world too, because they've been down to Daytona and they're going to Phoenix, the spring race in Phoenix
awesome.
This year. Yeah, and they go to MIS, obviously.
That's awesome. Thank you for the listen. Too. Hopefully I'm mentioning their name here.
Yes, definitely.
Through these follower shout-outs.
Yeah.
We've got Chad Robb, Right Sides Only Radio, John DeBold, Linda Gardner, NASCAR Couple, Darren Lester, Chuck Lally, Sylvia Bolin, Mick Rose, Laverne Davis Jr., Benny Fry. We have Daniel. We have Matthew Snowden. We have the right front tire. And that is all I have on my list. So thank you all for the follow. We appreciate every bit of it. And thank you for listening.
Yes, we do.
So, Ryan, before we get into your rant,
AJ.
Last time we were on doing this, we had asked a question of who is your top crew chief driver combo currently active in the sport. So, I'll start with mine. We'll go to yours. We'll do a listener pick.
All right.
So I have Martin Truex Jr., Cole Pern as my number one.
Same here.
My number two is Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus. My number three is Kyle Busch and Adam Stevens.
Unfortunately,
my number four is Brad Keselowski and Paul Wolfe. And my number five is Kyle Larson and Chad Johnston.
I remember I had the same for you had. I think for my fifth one, even though it was for part of the year, I got to go with Ives and Bowman. I think there's something that those two are going to show
click and
somebody
gel pretty well.
Yeah, they do, and I think granted, they what half a season. He
not even half a season.
Dominance at Phoenix. He should have won that race, and not even half a season. And
I agree with you, man. I think Bowman and Ives have something that Junior and Ives didn't have, and I don't know what you can credit it to, but it seems like the way Ives and Bowman communicate together, it's almost like they've been doing this forever with each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna hurt not having TJ Majors this year, but Tab Boyd is I believe is their spotter this year.
There was something too, though. It's like when Mark Martin went over to Hendrick, and they paired him with Alan Gustafson. And
Top
that
Boyd is actually William
combination
Byron's
clicked.
spotter. I don't know where
Martin
I got that
was
from.
winning races. Yeah, yep. Remember when Martin and Gustafson connected when he was in the 5 car? I remember out at MIS, Martin. I've never seen Martin win a race. Father's Day weekend, my brother and I bought our dad a ticket to go out there, and I think it was my dad's last race he's been to. He can't really go out there anymore due to his heart condition and being in the heat all day. So, but yeah, that's what
Bowman has Kevin
Hamlin. That
by the way,
reminds
for
me
spotter. I wanted to make sure I got that out there.
Oh, all right.
So
you could also put Logano and his crew chief Gordon on there too. Hamlin with his crew chief too.
William
Have a
SoQ,
brain
the
fart
underscore
right now,
Wilson 429, listener since day one of this show. Yes, he did.
He did answer a question
and that
earlier today on the
coming up. We're going to get into that. His list was Johnson, Knaus, Harvick, Childers, Elliott, Gustafson, and like you said, Bowman and Ives.
Good pairing.
But he threw in an Xfinity Series, Sadler and Kevin Menering. And to me, Menering and Sadler had the best pairing in the Xfinity Series.
I mean, I enjoy that team, and you got to think about it too. It's like when you get these Red Cup regulars going in there, they can work with crew chief Joe Blow, and just because it is what it is, they go out and dominate.
So we've come to the time in our program where Ryan goes on one of his rants. Ryan, take it away, sir.
Yep. All right. There comes a time, I've been following this sport late 80s, early 90s. Yeah, as a young kid, I watched it here or there. And to listen to these drivers right now say that they're happy with where the sport is, this and that, always agreeing with what Brian France throws down their throats. Like, okay, at first, these stages, I didn't like it. I didn't understand it. The stages came out. I enjoyed them. But for the drivers to say it's going to be great for the sport before to even run something, they're all agreeing it. They're all yes men. I don't like that. If there's something these guys don't like, and we've talked about this in the past, Newman's starting to speak up a little bit. Brad Keselowski's speaking up. More of these drivers need to speak up. If they don't think this thing at Charlotte's going to work the Roval, speak up and say something. If they don't like racing a certain track, speak up and say something. It's like all these yes drivers, and I'm getting tired of it. Stand up, like these veterans, like a Ryan Newman, like we said, who's been, like you said, I think he may get a little fine or suspension here. Keselowski finally stepping up, saying that Francis hardly ever had any of these races. Speak up, drivers.
You brought this up the other night, and we were talking about it a little bit, and I said to you that
on the Xbox,
Earnhardt wasn't afraid to speak his mind. Stewart wasn't afraid to speak his mind.
No,
Kurt and Kyle, right now,
Martin
seem to speak their mind, and they're not afraid to.
Especially with the young
that comment.
Which we'll get
turning off track a little bit, Kyle Busch made a comment about he doesn't like the way NASCAR is promoting younger drivers, and this is a podcast where we're supposed to be, partial and non-biased, but come on with that comment. Like, the young drivers, this is a young revolution we're having right now in NASCAR, and it's something the sport's needed for a couple years now.
Oh, yeah.
But
it has. I agree with you 110%. I think with the Bubba, Byron, Chase,
new faces in victory
Kyle
lane.
Busch isn't that old. Yeah, exactly. People are sick and tired of seeing the same 10 guys win, or 5 guys win.
So, going back to your rant, I agree with what you're saying, but in another sense, you don't want what they're saying to come back and hurt the sport. So that's why I think some of them bite their tongue sometimes.
Oh. I mean, you got to think, though, what is there, 40, maybe 43 now this year, maybe, a whole field finally. You got to think, if only maybe a select handful of them guys say something. Yeah, whether it be a veteran, maybe it be a Bubba Wallace, maybe a Byron, a Chase Elliott, somebody along those lines. It's like, to me, I think there's too many West Coast races. It's just the way I feel. Like, what is there? They run twice at Kansas.
This year they're running twice at Vegas.
Yeah.
It was.
I don't mind that. I don't mind Vegas. I don't mind Vegas. Yeah. I mean, look, try to go back to these old tracks, like a Rockingham, even though it looks terrible now.
I think Wilkesboro is far gone.
Go back. Oh, yeah. But it's just, I don't know. I know there's some of those drivers that want to go back to those race tracks. Like, remember a few years ago when the Truck Series...
It was a good draw, too,
at Rockingham,
from what I remember.
Yeah, sold out crowd. Casey King ran in it. I think Boyer ran in it, and there was a couple other guys that ran in it, too, from the Cup Series. Just showed how much those guys are missing.
And going back to this, why don't the drivers speak up more? You also have to think about the sponsors that they're wearing. Some sponsors want you to promote the brand differently, and they feel like lashing out like that could affect their sponsorship and their image. So there's a lot that plays into why some bite their tongue. That's what I used to love about Stewart. It's honestly what I love about Kurt and Kyle, is they're not afraid to speak their mind. And like you said, Kozlowski speaks up, Logano speaks up. Logano last year with the whole parking him during practice it was one of those things that I'm glad they're doing away with this year. They came out last week and said they're doing away with that this year. Because leaving a driver in a hot car for, an hour or two is absolutely asinine.
Yeah, especially
so
with no
he
fans
spoke
on
up
or
about
anything
that.
Like that. It's ridiculous.
Harvick speaks up. I've noticed. I'm trying to think of the guys who speak up. Truex, when he gets heated, speaks up. Johnson speaks up.
What was it? Darling? No, it wasn't Darlington. I forgot what race. Richmond, where Derek Cope blew up and caused Truex to win, even though he got into the playoffs and still won the championship. You got these guys out there that shouldn't even be out there racing anymore. It's racing, Martin. I mean, he spoke up, which is good. I like that. I think we got a kick out of that episode, by the way.
So, Ryan, does that conclude the rant for this episode?
Yes, it does. And that was my rant I had built up for a while.
So we have now the white flag, first white flag of 2018. Here we go.
Keep on the mirrors. In line with you, coming to the white.
All right, this weekend, cars are back on track. Actually, I got the schedule in front of me. Cars are back on track Saturday at 10:35 is practice for the Clash. And then right after that, they have first practice and qualifying. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading the Saturday schedule. Looking at the practices, I forget that this year it's moved. So Saturday, Cup cars have a practice for the Clash and 2 practices for qualifying in the 500. Sunday, you have the ARCA
Saturday
race.
Too. Also, for our listeners out there, I know there's people. Yeah, ARCA race, always an entertaining race at Daytona. Hey, that race right there, I'll watch the practice. When I get home from work. Actually, no, I got an eye doctor appointment, so I think I'm going to be missing both the Clash practices, but I'll be home in time for the ARCA race. That ARCA race right there gets me ready for the season. Like, I'm ready to go. Come on, bring the cars on. Let's go. And I just always find it to be an enjoyable.
The ARCA race at both. Every time the ARCA race is on, I try to watch it when it's televised.
Yeah, the CBS Sports Network, I think, picked up a couple races. I do believe that, or it's MAV TV, one of the two. I can't remember. I know FS1's got a couple of them. They broadcast the one from Michigan. Watch that every year.
So on Sunday, you have qualifying.
Yep.
For the 500. Well, I mean, technically to set the front row for the 500.
All right.
And the rest is for the duels. And yes,
AJ,
my front row.
Top two. Who are your top two on Sunday?
I'm gonna go
who's your front row for the 500.
Chase Elliott, because he seems to be on the front row for every 500 he's been in, which he has. And
okay,
actually, he wasn't on the front row last year. It was him and Junior. Why am I? Oh, that's he won the Clash. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So he's been on the front row every year.
Yep.
And I'm gonna go with like a Bowman to be up there. Or they do like a whole Danica thing, which is where I go into my restrictor plate theory when it comes to qualifying at Daytona. Which I think I've told you once or twice, but I'm not going to say on this.
Yes, you have.
Who are your top two?
The pole winner, I'm going to go Bubba Wallace. And the outside pole, I'm going to go
I take my last one back. I'm going with Byron on my front row, too. I'm going to go with the Chase Byron front row.
But I'm going Bubba. I'm going Bubba pole. I think it's those two guys are the biggest story coming into the year. You could throw Alex Bowman in there as well. And I just think this rookie class is going to be something.
Yeah, this rookie class they have this year is one of the strongest they've had in, I'd say, 4 years. It's going to be entertaining as hell to watch.
And then third, I'm going to pick Danica, just because it's Daytona, and she actually.
So then we have the Clash, which is being run on FS1 for some odd reason.
Yeah, while qualifying for
and
the
that
race,
green flag is at
for Daytona is on Fox.
I don't know why we have to do this. Not everybody gets FS1 on their TV, so they're going to miss this race. I don't know.
No. Yep. It's like when Fox, for the majority, they do Fox, and then all of a sudden, after a certain race, they go to FS1. It's like with NBC. NBCSN. NBCSN is going to cover these races.
Yeah, I mean, you want to bring people in to watch it. You think keeping it on the main network where everybody can watch would help you out a little bit, but...
Like ESPN. When they were on ESPN. Everybody has ESPN, to my knowledge, unless you don't have cable. I mean, it just doesn't understand. Like, there's qualifying times. They're going to be on Fox Sports 2. I don't get Fox
I think that was
Sports
last year that they had it on Fox Sports 2. And didn't they run the Eldora truck race on Fox Business?
No, Fox Business.
Not everybody could watch it. And It was just a wreck. It was a mess. Yep. I think TV needs to be looked at in the future when they redo the deal.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what I kind of hope Monster, if they do a nice long-term contract. Hey, let's look at our TV sponsors. These TV sponsors are throwing out money. I understand. I understand if you got a race that's scheduled on Fox. Excuse me, but there's a weather delay, and it goes past the time. Go a little bit past the time. If there's a big event on, switch it over to Fox Sports 1, or if you're on NBCS.
Yeah, it's kind of like what they do when a football game runs late, and they put it on the sister channel. And I don't disagree with you there, either.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I mean, I don't mind. Put all the races on network television. I understand NBC. Your money right now is Sunday Night Football. I mean, if for example, the race runs 15 minutes over the allotted time, okay, I understand that. Then you can go to NBCSN. If it runs into kickoff, have your pregame kickoff show Football Night in America on NBCSN. I know they don't want to do it.
Here's another thing I don't get.
I don't know. It's
why do we have 3 hours of pre-race coverage or pre-game coverage? You know, who watches that?
I don't get that.
I mean, I catch the last half hour to get ready for the race, but I'm not sitting there like when NASCAR race day was on Speed. I used to watch that because it was like the college game day of.
Oh, I loved it. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, they're at the track. You see the people. They got the Budweiser.
You know, they used to have trackside on Friday nights. I used to watch trackside.
I miss trackside. Camping out at the Speedway, man. I had so much fun at trackside. Kenny Wallace. If anybody ever gets chance to meet Kenny Wallace, what a good guy that guy is right there. He's funny. He's entertaining to the people. Kyle Petty was the same way too, which not really surprised me. It was so much fun when
they used to do that.
It was good to see.
And it's like that's some of the fan experience that I'm upset that they took away. Race day and trackside, bring those back. Now race day is in a studio in Charlotte instead of having it either outside the track or inside the infield somewhere. And I used to look forward to it.
It's like, go ahead. Yeah, when we went to Bristol, 2013, met Matt Yoakum and almost all the Fox reporters. I met Jerry Punch and Sam Horners Jr. I guess Trevor Bain was over my shoulder. My brother said I was looking at a car or something. He's like, Trevor Bain was over your shoulder. I'm like,
so
damn.
Getting into the race that we have coming up Sunday. Your entry list is Ryan Blaney, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Eric Jones, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Martin Truex Jr., Austin Dillon, Jimmy Johnson, Casey Kane, Jamie McMurray, and Ryan Newman. That is your drivers for the Clash. Ryan, who are you taking? I'm
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I think Fords are going to show their dominance. I think on like the speed, like the Clash, the duel.
I'll go with another Ford driver. Big Bad Brad in the number 2.
I'd like to see
I've actually had on here Mark, Brad, and Joey. Because I feel like one of the Penske guys are going to win that one. You could. I'm just going with the restrictor plate history of it.
Oh, okay, I got you.
He did last year in the 500. I'm watching the replay of the race. It's kind of like my film week.
Yes, he did.
But
yes, he did.
I see Brad and I see Joey, and it always seems like they're up there with like 5 to go. So that's who I'm going with there.
Exactly.
So Ryan, who wins the 2018 championship? Well, we got the 500 coming up next week. I wanted to save it for next week.
Championship.
Yes.
Oh, we're going to do another episode prior to the 500? Okay, all right. 2018 championship. Unfortunately, not really unfortunately, but I don't think you can take away with what he did last year. I'm picking the 78 over the 42.
So because you picked the 78, it was who I was going to pick. I'm going to...
My final four, by the way, my final four is going to be the 78, the 42, the 9, and the 11.
I'm going to pick a Chevy driver. His numbers may or may not have a 2 and a 4 in it. Kyle Larson. I'm going to go with Larson to win it. I'm going to go the opposite of you. My final four: 78, 18, 42, 9.
Now, would it surprise me if Jimmy Johnson wins the championship this year? No, it would not. If Knaus and them guys at Hendrick can dial this new Chevy
I agree
down,
with you, man. I think the new Chevy body style really is going to be. It's going to help keep up with the Toyota camp.
Yep, and I think Ford's next year.
Well, they're talking about. I don't know if it's actually. I don't know if it's actually going to happen. I know Keselowski was wanting it.
Speaking of which, the question I did ask on Twitter earlier, William, who answered our one with the day one listener, he picked for his championship. I do believe he did.
Yeah, he did. I'm looking at the tweet right now. We'll
if I remember correct. Yeah,
we'll
right.
say his 500 winner. Next week, but
Kyle Larson. Yeah, we'll say that. And you know what?
No, that's
wouldn't surprise me. The guy,
since you picked my
guy does
driver.
run good there too. So, speaking of which, I'm on earlier this afternoon, and I come across Jay Moore's TV, and and it had a picture of Race Hub. And I'm like, oh, cool. I watch Race Hub every night, ready for Daytona Speed Weeks. I get 2 likes on it. One from Shannon Spake, and then not too long ago, Adam Alexander just liked it. So both the hosts on Race Hub liked my tweet that I watch Race Hub every night. And it was funny, too, because it was a Daytona celebration, and they did show the 89 when DW was doing the Icky Shuffle in Victory Lane. So it was Blickensturfer and Bobby Labonte and Shannon Spaker like, Adam, why don't you do the Icky Shuffle? Adam gets up, he's doing the Icky Shuffle too. Oh,
I missed Race Hub tonight. I got home late from work, so.
But yeah, they've been doing a Countdown Daytona. Tonight they did finishes. It was like finishes. The memorable victory. It was like 4 or 5 of them. They had the fight, all that good stuff. Though it was a short half-hour episode, but the jet dryer won for one, which you knew that was going to win. Unfortunately, the Dale and Dale show '93 didn't win. It was it was seniors win at Daytona '98, which was definitely deserving. But I enjoyed the Dale and Dale show myself. That call right there, just like I was watching it, but when that Dale and Dale call in '93, I was hooked.
It's one of the most famous
like,
in
I was
sport.
Starting it, and then yes, it was. And you know what? You know what the funny thing is too, Ken Squire's a legend in this sport. Same with Ned Jarrett, all them guys that worked at CBS at that time. CBS. They're like, if the 18 car is winning, let him call the victory. And Ken Squire, with all due respect, was like, you got it, boss. And they let Ned Jarrett call
I'll never forget.
Jarrett to victory.
I never
that was cool.
Got a chance to watch it. I was only a year old at the time. But watching like the replay and the highlights of it and hearing that call, it was just, I can't say it reminds me of Waltrip and DW because it happened after the fact, but it's the only thing I could compare it to in my lifetime.
Yeah. I mean, you got to take into effect to what happened when DW called Mikey into victory lane in 2001.
A happy occasion.
No, but then when he won it again, wasn't it rain shortened too when he won it again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, I said we're going to have a more organized year this year.
Hey, yo.
So, our schedule for 2018. Monday, we're going to record. Tuesday, we're going to take to edit the show. And we're going to have a Wednesday upload. So, this way we're on a set schedule this year. and we're not, we'll have it up to you today, and then we're like, no, we can't have it up that day. We'll have it up this day. So.
Yeah, exactly. Now here's my thing though. Don't they come out with the penalties on Tuesday though? Or are they trying something new this year with this?
Well, the encumbered is no longer.
Like the encumbered wins or
finally.
Yeah, I know it's no longer. Are they just taking away the wins?
Encumbered is no more. I'm getting tired of saying that.
Yeah, I know.
They should.
Yep, they should just take away the win in general. They got the technology. They got the technology at the track. Have the victory lane car in victory lane, body inspected, everything like that. You have all the tech people there. Hey, car failed. Get out.
Yep, that's how I think it should go.
Car. You're in victory lane. Just you got. What is it? You can't get all through the cars through qualifying, but yet you can. You have to wait till Tuesday to give us an announcement if the car failed.
I agree with you, man. I think it's pretty dumb myself. So.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to wrap up the 2018 Extravaganza, Ryan.
Yeah, no kidding. Let's get these cars on the track and let's go. I'm ready. You got not only, like I said, the ARCA race gets me fired up. Then watching the Clash, and then I can't wait for Thursday.
Yeah.
When you got the duels. And then I told Sarah, I'm like, I'm in front of the TV all weekend. She's like, you're always in front of the TV. Yeah, but it's saving us money, honey. So, but yeah, I don't know if I told you this, that I plan on having the second annual Roncola, Brisbee, McGee, Daytona 500 Extravaganza didn't go too well last year. We had a couple of our friends get a little under the weather. So it was just myself, my brother, and Sarah watched the race last year, but the invitation's out there to all of our boys to come over and watch the Great American Race. So, we'll have beer, dip.
This means all
the
of
good
our
stuff,
Detroit
pizza,
listeners.
maybe, or do us. Yes, thank you.
He's at Ryan is at 123 Sesame Street.
Someplace I will. That's right. Let's go. But no, we're gonna have a good time too, and then. A coworker of mine overheard me talking about the podcast tonight, and she's like, "Oh, you're having people over for Daytona?" I'm like, Don, if you want to come over, you're more than welcome.
Keeping Daytona Day. So, as much as I hate that word.
That's right.
Daytona Day.
Basically, what I'm trying to do, Daytona.
Oh man, Ryan,
we're ready.
Let's drop the green flag on 2018. Everybody enjoy the race this weekend. Yeah. Ryan, you know what to do.
Fellas, ladies, we will see you.
Yep, we'll catch you all back here next week.
AJ at Daytona.
Everybody enjoy the race.
Enjoy the race.